Today I'll be doing a demonstration on the Powermatic bandsaw. This is a 14-inch bandsaw. Some of the parts of the bandsaw, we have a miter gauge. This is used to cut a board at an angle. To change the angle, we can loosen this nut and rotate it and to the desired angle that we want to cut. If I want to cut a 60-degree angle, I would set it at 60 degrees. Lock the nut and place the miter gauge in the groove in the table to make a cut. Set my board against the miter gauge, and holding the board and the miter gauge, I would slide it through to cut an angle. Another attachment we have for the bandsaw is called a fence. The fence goes on the rail on the front of the table, and you slide it on that rail. Set it to the desired distance from the blade, and I'm going to use the fence to make a rip cut along the board. So I put my board against the fence and slide it through. Some of the parts of the bandsaw, we have our table, we have our insert plate located in the center of the table, we have our shield, we have 3 upper blade guides. We have a blade guide here, here, and on the back side of the blade. These prevent the blade from twisting. The upper blade guides must be adjusted using this adjustment knob to raise or lower them according to the thickness of your stock that you're cutting. The upper blade guide should be set 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch above the wood. So in order to do that, you're going to loosen this knob, and you will raise these up if the board is thick, or lower them down for a thinner board like this. The upper blade guides should be 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch above the wood. So you don't have to measure this. I can look. This gap is between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to tighten this nut up. Put my shield in place. And now I'm ready to cut. Some safety things to remember. Hair should be tied back. No loose or baggy clothing. Your safety glasses should be on. And you always want to keep your fingers at least 2 inches away from the blade. Never cross your hands. Keep your feet shoulder width apart and be comfortable using the machine. If something happens to the machine while you're using it, quickly shut it off. Back away from the machine until it stops completely. Unplug it and find the teacher and tell them that there is a problem. Inside the bandsaw, there's a lower wheel and there's an upper wheel. This particular bandsaw is a 14-inch bandsaw, meaning that it's 14 inches in diameter and it has a capacity to cut 14 inches. Always keep the doors closed when you're operating the machine. Before operating the machine, I'm going to make sure my safety glasses are on, my sleeves are rolled up, and I know how to properly use the machine. Piece of wood away from the blade, I'm going to turn the machine on. When I'm finished making my cut, I want to shut the machine off. As I got close to the end of my cut, I made sure to slow down so that the momentum from me pushing the board didn't cause my hands to lunge forward. If there are any scraps located to the next of the blade, never use your fingers to push them out of the way. Always shut the machine off, wait for it to stop, and use a scrap board to push them out of the way. Before attempting to cut out any irregular shapes, such as this heart, I would want to make what's called relief cuts. Relief cuts are basically little incisions that allow the blade to go all the way around my line and those little pieces to fall off as I cut. So I'm going to make relief cuts on here and on that side. As I cut into these relief cuts, I want to be sure not to cut past the line, and I'm going to stop just before the desired part that I want to keep. Also, when I back out of the line, I'm going to shut it off, wait for it to stop, and then back out. If you do back out of a cut while the blade is running, you must go straight and avoid turning the board so you do not bind the blade or pinch the blade into the wood. See, after I made my relief cuts, I'm going to start at the bottom of the heart and work my way around. Notice as I cut, these little pieces will fall off. And once I get to this point, I'm going to turn it around and start again at the bottom of the heart and work my way around this side. Notice as I cut, I saved the pencil line and did not cut past my pencil line. I can always come back and cut more off. Notice where I made my relief cuts, the little pieces have fallen off. After you're finished making a cut, always shut off the machine. Wait for it to stop before removing any material next to the blade. Even after the machine is completely stopped, treat it as if it were running and use a piece of scrap material and push those pieces at least 2 inches away from the blade to prevent any injury. When watching someone operate the bandsaw, you never want to be standing to the right side of the bandsaw. This is to protect you in case the blade breaks. The blade rotates in a clockwise direction and can hit the table and shoot out to the right side and possibly injure someone watching the operation.